It is great to be back in the black hole of real estate. And as we venture into the end of 2023, a couple of things are on my mind that are impactful, not just to my real estate business, but to the investing side, as well as what the future is going to look like. We're in this land of high inflation and high interest rates and high home prices and high rent prices, and we feel like something should give, and yet it doesn't seem to be giving. If anything, it seems to be chasing the other direction of not giving at all. And is there a relief in this market for those trying to enter it? Is there a home out there for somebody who would like to move and just can't find the right home to move into? And what does it look like for investors? And what's the twist going on with some of the short-term rental properties? Okay, so I want to give you some answers. So we've been saying for such a long time that expect around November-ish, about a year out from elections, interest rates will ease off a little bit. I think that's a solid prediction. Now the Fed has just remained neutral and not raised at their last meeting. And I think it's a safe bet that somewhere somebody's going to unearth a nugget that, hey, inflation's easing, even if it's half true. We'll see that. Gas prices went down 1 cent. Okay, it's eased. It's all better now. It's fixed. Something like that's going to happen. There'll be some positive news on inflation and a relief in interest rates. I firmly believe that. I do believe there's some people that will be selling towards the end of the year, but not necessarily for the reasons that you might think. I think there's always a concern about the changes in tax laws and people that are advised to sell something before the end of the year. And for those buyers that need to buy before the end of the year, I think there will be movement on some properties that might have otherwise not been sold. It may be listed at a price that was above the market yet sold, maybe the price negotiated below that, and it's between the buyer and seller, and I think those things will get worked out. But I do believe you see some inventory coming in the market in the month of October. Somebody getting advice that, hey, based on your situation, the tax laws may not be as favorable if you close January 1st, 2024 and after. Now that's every year, but especially coming up to an election time, presidential election next year. Wow, it's coming up fast. I think some people are hedging their bets a little bit. So that's the type of movement that you see most every year. So it's not different, but maybe magnified. Now, when someone is in the market for a home and looking in November and December, when most people are planning for holidays and taking their foot off the gas and get ready to celebrate a little bit, those buyers typically are super motivated. They're on a mission. They need to move for a reason. And price, while important, and the type of home, absolutely important, sometimes there is an added influence to the mix of their decision. It might be just deadline driven. I have to be moved by this date. I have to be out of state. My job transfer is coming. Or maybe I'm a snowbird, except for now I want to be an owner in a warm state. And we're coming up to what might be a super, super crazy winter. There's some weird predictions out there. Maybe not so weird, but there's some predictions out there that would make people think this will be a rough winter in a lot of places. So I think a few things will conspire together to help people move for reasons that may not have anything to do with interest rates or inflation, price, or return on investment. And that could very well be really working through things and getting us to a different place in the real estate space that we haven't been in just a little bit right now in a different way. So I'm really going to watch for this. The normal reasons that people move, buy, sell, they're still there. And I don't know that that's going to change. But I also know there's added layers. And I wouldn't call them complexity. I would just things that cause people to do what seems almost counterintuitive. Why would you buy when prices are high and interest rates are high? Well, if you're a cash buyer, it doesn't matter so much. If you want to move, you move. The interest rates could be refinanced, and so many lenders have programs now where they'll automatically refinance you when the rates go down because they want your business today. And if you're a lender, if I can find a way to get you at 6 or 7 or whatever percent it is, these days, knowing that I can have your interest for the next 2, 3 years and then float you down, well, sure. I'll even waive the lender fees to keep receiving interest because you're going to refinance with somebody anyways. Why not just make sure they keep paying interest to you? So I think it's a good strategy for the banks. It's also good for the consumer to know that they can save a little money in the refinance. And I believe that's going to continue. So there's a lot of ways to change out the interest rate, so to speak, or pay less over time. The fact is that how many people actually pay all 30 years of the mortgage? Very few. So the interest that you have right now, I'd say, is temporary, and that could change through the sale of the property or refinance. But the pain of living where you're living and not being in the home that you want to be in for your own reasons typically is enough to get a lot of people to make a move and pay a little bit more. And we'll continue to see that. Now, the twisty little thing right now with the investment properties is everybody's saying, well, geez, I can't buy an investment property. They don't scale. There's not a positive return on my ROI, and it's a disaster, and I don't want to invest, and I'm just going to keep my money where it is. So what I'm really hearing is I'd rather get like 0.001% interest rate in the bank or not keep my money active in the market or moving. And let's just suppose that the interest rate they're receiving is not like 5 or 6 or 7% like inflation. You're actually losing money keeping it in the bank. So you need to keep it moving. And let's just suppose for a moment that you buy a property and about up to 250, they perform pretty well. It's price driven versus rent. At above that range, they start to get a little iffy, and above 350 and 400, it feels like, wow, I'm losing money every month because they're not positive cash flow. And what most people aren't looking at is what smart, savvy investors look at. It's like, okay, you know what? My mortgage payment is $2,500. I'm getting, after property management fees and everything else, I'm getting $2,100. I'm losing $400 a month, or am I? Because if I'm financing the property and the mortgage is getting paid down by somebody else, chances are in the neighborhood of a few hundred, maybe not the whole $400, but most of it is going to be in the retirement of the principal balance of the mortgage. Then you've got depreciation, which helps you out in your tax return. And you might also get some increase in the value of the property. It's probably a pretty safe bet, actually. So paying down a mortgage, tax benefits, and increased property value could wash out the proposed $400 a month. And if you pay $400 a month, but you got $400 a month in tax benefit and $400 in retired debt and principal balance that went down, and the value went up, you want to say, well, that sounds like a good investment to me. It depends on what lens that you're looking at these investments through. Because if you're only looking at cash flow, and many do, and many have hard and fast rules about that, I embrace that. But if you want to allow that there is an opportunity to invest in a market such as this, well, this is the way that most people are doing it. You see at some point the value is going to go up, and rents are probably going to go up as well. And if you're a fixed rate mortgage where it's guaranteed never to be higher than it is, with the opportunity to refinance and make it lower down the road, then that works too. And the other thing is just put a bigger down payment on or have a smaller mortgage, and then your cash flow. So a lot of ways to work around that. Now, the short-term rental properties, there's a thing going on there. For a pretty strong run post-COVID, people were out and vacationing and going all these places and doing the Airbnbs, and it's still going on with short-term rentals, except some of that's focused internationally, or maybe they're going to different parts of the country based on, I've been to Florida enough times, so I want to go to someplace else. Or I've been to Hawaii enough, and I want to go someplace else. So they're looking at other places and more adventures and seeing more of the country. So the short-term rental disposable income dollars is being spread across more places across the country as people discover more. And that would make sense. And if the market rent for a property might be, let's just say $2,000 a month on a long-term lease, but it rents for $1,000 a week, the short-term rental owners were thinking, I can get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 every month. So at the end of the year, what they're wagering is, will I get $24,000 from a long-term renter, or could I get 36 or 48 from a short-term renter? And these things are tantalizing, they're exciting. And what we haven't seen over the past few years is the downside of that. And now we're hearing stories of properties that aren't renting at all and are getting $0 and leaving $2,000 on the table, or $1,000 and leaving, the other $1,000 on the table. So now the longer term rentals are more attractive due to the competition, and of course there's regulations and crackdowns and paperwork and replacing furniture and all the replenishments that eat into the top number of those vacation rentals. It's simple wear and tear and replacement of things. It's not really $3,000-4,000 a month in rent. It's the gross, it's the net that I think people are taking a look at right now. And with that, a number of these properties are going from short-term rental into longer-term rental. So it's a natural movement. What it's doing is it's causing a slowdown of the renting of a lot of the long-term rentals. There's more competition there than there was last year. Absolutely. So with that, that's necessarily seeing a drop in rental prices. It's taking a little longer though. There's some money being won and lost in that space, and so we're watching that. So if you're looking at short-term rentals, it's good, and there's a way to make money in that because we've described that. A number are pivoting from short-term to long-term, and some of those people's like, you know what, I didn't make what I thought I was going to make, or I made a lot more last year. I'm just going to sell it. Let's cash out of it. Go buy something else. So this is where the next movement will come in the rental game, in the investment market. So the savvy investor that understands how the money moves and what the benefits are, whether it's appreciation, cash flow, or tax benefits, that's the game that's going to be played next. So between now and the end of the year, this will start to play itself out. And as long as we stay together on this podcast, I'm going to keep informing you where that market is moving so you can make the best possible decisions, in advance of that moment. Because when preparation and opportunity meet, it's a beautiful thing. And we want to provide that for you right here in this space. Look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of the Black Hole of Real Estate.